Hey everybody, it's Red here, and today we are going to be talking about Zwei, hopefully that's pronounced right, the Ilvard Insurrection. And this was one of two games that I picked up on Humble Bundle through their monthly subscription. I didn't think anything of them at the beginning. Then Steam again recommended that I kind of play them. So here we are trying out. So I didn't know that this was the second one before I started playing. So I'll be probably reviewing the first one later in the future when I get some free time after the holidays. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and we'll kind of just go from there. So my first biggest point is that this reminds me a lot of the newer East series, which is always a good thing. You know, I thoroughly enjoy those games. The new East games are, you know, from Oath of Fogana to Origins, are really good in my opinion. So this is also made by the same company. So you know, if you have a chance, go out and play those as well. And the story kind of also reminds me a little bit of Artanelico, where there's islands floating in the sky, which, you know, I did enjoy Artanelico, except I thought it was kind of maybe a little overly sexualized. And maybe that's just my opinion. I think they could have toned it down just a little bit. So the second thing is, you know, this game doesn't level up normally. You know, by me killing these monsters, I don't gain experience directly. You gain experience by eating food. So in an offer to help you level up a little bit more quickly, they offer something called the food exchange. So if you have 10 of one food item, you can exchange it for one that's vastly superior, which kind of helps you level up. So at the beginning of the game, you know, you turn in 10 of the seaweed rolls, I think they are, and you can get, you know, a higher tier food that, you know, means more than just, you know, one experience per, you know, eating, which would take forever. And you can change multiple foods, and eventually they get kind of crazy of how much experience they offer. There are some parts where I was fighting, you know, monsters and bosses where I was saving food until the boss, and then I would level up at the boss. It just depends on how you play. If you want to grind for more food, if you want to grind for more food, you know, it's easier for you to do that or you can just do what I did and just eat food as you're fighting bosses. But yeah, the food exchange was a really nice idea to kind of help the player out, so they're not just grinding on low food. As I mentioned, my next note is a different type of grind for XP, which is nice. And that chest has already been gotten. A thing that I find enjoyable is a redheaded main character. I was a big fan of, you know, the original Persona having a red-haired main character, you know, Lufia, Chrono Trigger. It's just because I have red hair. So you know, representation from a place that, you know, doesn't. I don't think they would have red hair naturally over there in Japan. I think they would have to dye it like kind of the end of Squid Game, where he dyes his hair Ronald McDonald red. My hair is not Ronald McDonald red, by the way. It's a natural red that's going gray. This is going gray, yeah. I'm an old man. So up next is the Widgets. I'm a pretty big fan of the Widgets, just because they offer so many things, from it being worthless. You know, there's one where you can get an email from random people. Here, we'll just, and you can choose which side of the screen it goes on. I don't have all of them. I don't have everything. And while I'm thinking about it, I had to lower some of the settings, so it did this weird flicker. I think my resolution rate was possibly a little different. But you can kind of see that there's a bunch of stuff, you know, how much Ragna apparently weighs because of all the food that he's eaten. You can change the music. There's the silly email. There's a camera where people are watching you. There's a date and time function, so that if you're sometimes like me, if you start playing, you forget how long sometimes you've been playing. It's kind of nice to, like when I was playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I would play it for 2 or 3 hours and not realize that I had been playing it for such a long time. I need to put this down and go to bed.
Going for the gold.
So kind of the, you know, you said you got a gold rank.
I guess you can take a break.
I like how they tell you what you need to do in the dungeons and kind of keep track of it, so that you can. We might keep that one on. Turn that one off. Turn that one off. Turn that one off. And you see the. There we go. Put the ones that I want back on. Again, I don't have them all. I played the game and did try to do some of the extra stuff, and that's kind of like, my game backlog is pretty huge at the moment. So, you know, going through everything that this game asks would take quite a while, and I just don't have the time at the moment to do that. I also enjoy when you're, you know, the initial ability once you meet Alwyn to teleport wherever you want to go. And the fact that they tell you where you're missing treasure. From my understanding, from looking at guides and stuff like that, the ones in parentheses are special drops that you need to do something special for. I've not quite figured that out. You see, I've missed one at the railroad station. Again, I'm kind of done with it right now. Maybe if, you know, my backlog empties a little bit, I'll get back to it and do the rest. But I'll probably play the first one before I do anything remotely like that. So on to kind of some of the bad things. Alwyn seems a little bit overpowered. I don't know if you saw at the beginning of the video, I have a piece of equipment that if we're at full health, she won't waste any of her magical energy. You have to go out of your way to get that, but that makes her just even more kind of unbalanced. Because you can sit around and just shoot magic all day like I was doing. I was just mashing down the button, you know, and just shooting the homing fireball. Which there is elemental weaknesses and stuff like that here, but usually you can just, you know, especially if you're just mashing down the button with unlimited magic. You can pretty much just nuke anything. I'm level 30. I beat the game, so I'm a little overpowered for this point of the game. The game was also possibly a little monotonous because it goes, there's a pacing of 3 floors rest, 3 floors rest, 3 floors rest, until you're at the kind of the end of the dungeon, and you get the safe spot. And some dungeons split off into, here's if you might need gear part B so that he can do his, I don't think it's part B, but he can have a fire attack, which he can throw enemies, and he can he can fly around, which is, it's fun, but it gets you in trouble, especially if you can't kill the enemies when you crash into them. Something that's kind of disappointing is, like, once you start juggling a monster, it's pretty much done. Any monster that gets knocked into the air, or like a bat or something that gets knocked out of the air and onto the ground, they're pretty much done. There's no way for them to kind of recoup after that. They just kind of fall down, and then you beat them with Ragna, or you beat them with Alwyn. Alwyn can do it too, but when Alwyn kind of raises the people, they do it a little bit more slowly, especially if you're using her impulse magic. I think that's the one where it'll just slowly raise them until you run out, and then. But it goes back to it. She is probably very, very unbalanced. Like if Hugo was unbalanced in East Origins, he probably would have been my favorite character, because these two do remind me of Francesca being Ragna and Alwyn being Hugo. After level, so I'm at level 30. Is that one? So you need like 1 million experience to get to level 30, which is not too bad with some of the food items. Especially if you're meandering around, you see 47,000, 87,000, 135,000. I don't know what that one is at the moment. But it's a huge jump. So they want you to finish the game at level 30, and then that's it. I think even if I traded all the food up and just ate it all, I don't think I would have enough. And I have done some of the level 30, beginner dungeons where they hand out just tons of money at that point. If you're looking for the achievement to get 500,000 gold, the easiest way is to just do a level 30 dungeon, and they offer me tons and tons of money, even with, and I have the, more amount of money given, and it's still ridiculous amounts of money that I've spent. Kind of my last thing is the targeting system can be a little wonky. I don't know if you saw where she was targeting the wall. I don't know if there's a treasure there that I missed, or what, but sometimes she doesn't aim properly, and it's just kind of a little goofy. It doesn't ruin the game, but I kind of like a targeting system that kind of works. Like, well, I'm trying to target this enemy, and I'm talking about now it's a level 30 dungeon, and now I can just you have to break all the pots. And you kind of see that, they give you and you can do this with any dungeon. I think even the last dungeon was 29, if I'm not mistaken. And you can do it at 20. You can do it at level 30. But as you can see, as I'm talking about now, she's... Again, I get that I'm too high of a level for this place. But as you kind of see, she's just a little too good at any of this stuff. So I like the game. I would have to play the first one to talk about the improvements. Again, I got this off of Humble Bundle, where I think it was offered on 2 separate occasions. So I can't. You know, I played this one first because Steam recommended it first. I'll probably get around to playing the first one at some point and do a review on that, kind of to follow up, because this is a very I did thoroughly enjoy playing this game. It kind of tells a somewhat interesting story. It's got some interesting characters. You know, the combat is, even though I do find it a little monotonous, it's not insanely monotonous where, you know, it's just driving you to boredom at some points. It's kind of like, well, I have to do yet another 3 sections of dungeon, unless you're doing the bonus dungeons in each part of the like, kind of, I guess you call them the kind of elemental caves, where you can go, you know, 10 floors at a time down to 90. So this game took me about 22 hours to beat, which to me is probably a perfect length. You know, I gotta play 3 to 5 hours a week sometimes. So it's a decent length for me. Maybe not for some more of the hardcore people where, you know, they need 40 or 50 or 70 hour gameplay. I don't, as an adult working full time, and you know, I have a kid. You know, 40-hour games are alright. They take me about a month. If you do 70 or 80 hours, it can take me weeks. It can take me, you know, months to complete. Just because I don't have kind of that time anymore. You know, I did when I was in my early 20s, or even my late 20s. But I think it's a decent length, and it's got enough to kind of keep you busy. I do recommend that if you can buy it on sale, to give it a play. It is. I think it's worth the time, especially if you love the East series. It's very, very worth it. It's very, you know.
What else did you expect?
It does a bunch of stuff well, except for kind of Alwyn being really just kind of being overpowered. So that's kind of my review for Zwei the Ilvard Insurrection. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.